headlines here being created because of the Oxfam annual wealth report, which is the usual. And it says basically that the 26 richest people own as much wealth as the poorest 50% of humanity. If you look at India, the richest 9 people own as much as wealth as the bottom 50% in the country. Oxfam is pitching a 1% wealth tax. Again, not a new idea, has been discussed and debated several times in the past. Joining us now to talk about the wage gap as well as the gender gap is the Schwab Social Entrepreneur of the Year previously, Neelam Chibber. Thanks very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. Always a pleasure. As I said, this is not new. The rich are getting richer has been a trend that continues. But what's the solution? And the criticism of Davos is that here is a congregation of the world's rich and famous talking about trying to bridge the wage gap and the gender gap.
Yep. So, you know something, India has, after Nigeria, India has the world's largest number of people who live under less than $5 a day. I think the World Economic Forum, especially Davos, is a great opportunity because out here we have business, we have social entrepreneurs, we have academia because that brings in all the research, and we also have governments. So unless all 4 parties come together and put out hard data and the hard cost-benefit analysis of why inclusion is going to be so critical, we are not going to see result.
You know, talking about the way forward, you've written about this this morning, I think, on the distributed ownership model, and we've had success in India with that. You know, the Amul story, for instance. But how do we ensure that that can be implemented on scale?
Absolutely. I think India has a great opportunity to build out models that Africa, Latin America, and other parts of Asia can take up. So I think with India's edge on technology, we could do an Amul. Amul has revenues of $5 billion, and all the farmers who do the milk, they get more than just the price of milk. They get the dividend of the profits of the company, and it's a completely professionally managed model. Yeah, there are 13 million farmers who are members. I think in today's day and age, technology can help us build platforms like that. One of them which we are announcing is the platform for inclusive entrepreneurship, which could onboard artisans, farmers, and they could cater to the growing Indian market and global market, whereby they not only get fair wages, but they also get profits and dividends from businesses they own. Okay. So I think India can take a big lead on this, and it's already happening. It's got a big connection to skills, capital flows, professional management of these co-ops, and industry. Mindtree and Vritti are collaborating to do this.
So when does this platform go live?
Yeah, so the platform is already live. We already have about 70,000 farmers and 20,000 artisans on it, with I think more than 1 million rag pickers on this. Built out by Mindtree Social Inclusion Vertical. We are the first co-creators of this platform, and we already have on board 30 other co-creation partners. Leading organizations in India, and there is also a lot of global interest, right? Platforms are being initiated in Myanmar, in Guatemala. We have already started work in Ethiopia. So all these use cases, once put on board onto the platform, I think scale is very, very possible, and building more inclusive societies may not really be a dream.
Well, that's good to know and that's good to hear. But I want to talk to you about what's happening in India with respect to skills. I mean, providing employment is one part of the story, but getting skilled people into the workforce is another part of the story. There was a lot of fanfare around Skill India, which died down. You know, what's your experience been like, specifically on the Skills India program?
I really believe we need a lot of innovation, right? We have the world's largest workforce. And we cannot take the Chinese model of growth. China it's helped solve the MDGs by it migrated its workforce across the country. In India, I think the problem with job creation is that Indians are not going to migrate. It's not happening. And especially when we look at gender. I think there is a big conclusion that more inclusive societies are going to be built when you are going to economically empower women. Because women will see to it that their incomes go to better health, better nutrition, better education for their children. And you will see all-round growth. So it's very tough for women to migrate. 70% of our population lives in its villages. Jobs need to be created there. And we cannot constantly create jobs in the service economy. we have to look at manufacturing, which is the focus of the platform. It's built around creative manufacturing, it's built around value addition in the farm sector. The Indian food processed consumption is going to grow into the billions of dollars in the next 10 years. Why cannot the farmers build out those brands?
So what needs to be done? Because this links back then to the current, to the skilling issue as well as the current challenge that we're seeing in the farm sector. And this promise of doubling farm income by 2022. And the only way to do that is to ensure more value addition. So what are the obstacles and the challenges that you see currently?
Yeah. So I think limits to doubling farm income is basically how much of productivity are you going to improve? A smallholder farmers in the country, it's not going to be possible. So aggregation is key. So we have this wonderful Producer Companies Act in India. We have more than 2,000 farm producer companies. So the model is build more FPOs, build more off-farm producer companies. Industry has built two of India's largest off-farm producer companies that supply to global brands like IKEA. Now H&M is on board. So every farm family should be practicing agriculture as well as more off-farm activities.